Viktor Bout to come home. And Mr. Yaрошenko went home when Trevor Reed came back in April. And Mr. Bout has now gone home. And we know that the U.S. government has gone through a long list of other concessions that it would be willing to make to Russia to bring Paul home. And it's almost like the cash register is empty. So I'm not sure what next the U.S. government will find in order to bring Paul home. I'm sure that they will, but it's a process of almost starting over again.
David, we are praying for you and your family and for your brother's health, for him to come home soon. Thank you for joining us. So who exactly is Viktor Bout, this merchant of death? A 2010 60 Minutes report about his capture, well, it gives us an idea.
Viktor Bout, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth?
Without a doubt.
What makes him a threat to the United States?
He is a shadow facilitator. He not only designated terrorist groups, insurgent groups, but he's also arming very powerful drug trafficking cartels around the globe.
In fact, Bout is so dangerous. He was at one point the second most wanted man in the world after bin Laden, of course. So it seems ironic that so many on the left, whose Twitter bios are just plastered with the Ukrainian flag, are so just blithely praising a swap that will have a notorious Russian arms dealer get back in the game. Probably get a hero's welcome at home. So what's Randi Weingarten, who has the Ukraine flag in her Twitter name, wrote extraordinary news. A basketball star, but also a gay black woman, is released. Squad member Ayanna Pressley tweeted, an unjustly imprisoned WNBA athlete and black queer woman is finally returning to her wife, her family, and her teammates. Welcome home. Joining me now is Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor. Charlie, American prisoner swaps are, it certainly looks like, in part based on ideology, and some are saying wokeness rather than pragmatism and what is just.
Yeah, these people are just sick, and at this point, what we're talking about is just something. I think it's intended to humiliate America. And that wonderful interview you just did with Dave Whelan, the roadblock. What was the roadblock? The roadblock was you had one prisoner who served his country and loves America, and you had another prisoner who hates America and actually broke the law. I'm glad she's home, but she did break the law, but she hates America. So releasing her instead of the person that loves America is the ultimate humiliation. But I think there is actually something far deeper going on here. And you touched on it, talking about how at one point he was the most known man in the world after Osama bin Laden. There's something about these people, this Joe Biden regime, that loves terrorists, or at least if they did love terrorists, this is exactly how they would behave. They return the merchant of death, who will go out and continue to sell arms around the world, intended to kill Americans and to kill other innocent people. But this is the same regime that gave $80 billion in weapons and materiel to the Taliban in Afghanistan. And this is the same people under the Obama administration who gave $400 billion in unmarked cash flown under the cover of in pallets to the Iranian regime, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. At some point, we have to wake up and start asking ourselves, do these people want the terrorists to win?
Well, it certainly seems to be part of a plan, doesn't it? Now, it wasn't, by the way, it wasn't just Randi and Ayanna. If you want to know how politics seems to have infused all of this, watch what KJP said.
On a personal note, Brittany is more than an athlete, more than an Olympian. She is an important role model and inspiration to millions of Americans, particularly the LGBTQI plus Americans and women of color.
I have a question, Charlie. Why is her personal view relevant in a United States prisoner swap? Thank you very much. Imagine if, like, some, ardent Catholic said, well, my personal Catholic view is that from the podium. I mean, they would excoriate that person, but she gets to have her personal view, and I want to share my personal, on a personal note. That was ridiculous.
And the likenesses all have to do with these divisions that Democrats create, much of them racial or gender or religious, that they divide people. Who looks at the world like this? Who looks at their fellow Americans or their fellow humans by exactly? They divide. They're the most racist people left in the world. Anyway.
Well, I know. She's an American, and she's coming home. That's the most important thing,
Right.
not her athletic talent or her, anything else. Charlie, thank you for joining us.